The owner of a tax preparation company in Dallas pleaded guilty to defrauding the COVID-19 relief program of millions that was meant to help struggling business owners. What's more, he was already going to prison for 6 years for a previous tax fraud conviction. Fox 4's David Centendry joins us live tonight with these details. David.
Yeah, Steve, we're talking about millions of dollars that was supposed to go to small businesses that were struggling, but instead one local accountant tried to help himself. A 43-year-old Liberian national pleaded guilty Tuesday to orchestrating a fraud scheme to get more than $23 million in money that was supposed to help small businesses struggling during the pandemic, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Northern District of Texas.
Criminals can be around any corner.
Stephen Jalul, seen here on his Facebook page, is an accountant. The listed address for his business is inside this North Dallas office building.
If you took out them PPP loans, you're going to prison. Prison. Of course, you did it out of fraud. Prison. Gonna be pushing P.
His home address is at this apartment complex in Garland, where neighbors say he drove fancy cars and wore high-end clothing. Some we spoke with off camera suspected he was up to something shady. Others
had no idea. I'll tell you what, it takes all kinds of people.
Here's what happened. The federal government rolled out $350 billion in forgivable PPP loans during the pandemic. It was meant to help struggling businesses pay and keep employees. The feds, however, say Jalul, after his arrest last fall, admitted while working as an accountant to inflating the number of employees businesses had so they could get more money from the government. Federal prosecutors say he tried to get $23 million on behalf of more than
come on, 23 million.
clients.
Come on, man. You couldn't even keep 23 million. Try to at least fly under the radar, even though that ain't gonna work. 23 million. Dang.
97 of those loans were approved, and his clients were awarded $12 million. He was paid nearly $1 million in fees.
You know, I hope he gets what he deserves. Because it was a pandemic and you've got folks that are, trying to keep their heads above water.
The thing is, this is not his first run-in with the law. He pleaded guilty to tax crimes in January 2020 and was on pre-trial release when he committed the PPP crimes, according to a criminal complaint.
I would never have known that.
Now he's facing up to 10 years in prison. Some of his neighbors can't help but think of the businesses that actually deserved and needed that money.
Some snake coming along, taking money that could be theirs rightfully.
Jalul is awaiting sentencing, but many people at home might be asking, well, what happens to that $12 million from here? So I reached out to the DOJ. They say that it's really up to the Small Business Administration if these businesses need to return any of that money they were awarded. And then I asked the DOJ,
what if they don't have the money?
Any of these businesses, is there any indication they may have known that they were accepting some of this money fraudulently? The DOJ says at this time it can only refer us to its indictment, and right now those details aren't provided.
I'm Elizabeth Matthews here in Joliet. Operation Triple P targeted county jail inmates who falsified PPP loan applications and received thousands of dollars, some even using that money to bond out of jail. The police chief here says this operation will help put them back in jail and will help reduce gun violence and drug trafficking in his city. 25 Will County Jail inmates already locked up for weapons and drug felony cases are now facing charges like wire fraud and theft.
Some of the targets.
I ain't even gonna say it. Let's just keep going. I ain't even gonna say it. If you know what I'm thinking, you know what I'm thinking. I ain't even gonna say it.
Bonded out on their felony cases days after receiving their fraudulent PPP loan.
Operation Triple P began in November of last year. Detectives began to compare names on Paycheck Protection Program loans to names of inmates facing felonies, which should have disqualified them from the financial assistance. So far, 15 of them have been charged. Police are still looking for these 10.
The majority of them also use their home address. So we did several periodic.
Do you really think you're going to get away with this if you do it? I know some people who mentioned doing a PPP loan. I definitely was not messing with that at all. You got to think strategically long term. I'm not trying to give the government giving you free money. Then the government really gonna give you free money? Come on.
Spot
I ain't
checks
playing
on
with no
residents.
government. I'm
It
good.
just looked like a residence.
I'd
For
rather just go to
example,
work.
Maria Beach and
Start
Adrian
a
Clark
business.
locked up during the pandemic for unrelated gun offenses. From their cell, they applied for and received PPP loans. Maria claimed to run a barber shop from this home in Rockdale. Adrian claimed to run a barber shop from an apartment in this Joliet house. Maria received nearly $21,000 in federal
That's
loans.
it?
Adrian, who has a history with Joliet police, got 2 PPP loans for the same barbershop location, totaling $42,000. Both are now part of the 15 locked up again. Joliet police had help from U.S. Marshals, the Will County State's Attorney's Office, Department of Labor, and Homeland Security.
These triple P loans, that if they're obtaining them
Triple P.
fraudulently, they're taking that money out of the businesses in our local area that actually need them.
The acting special agent in charge for Chicago's Homeland Security Office says this type of PPP loan fraud has been happening across the country.
An OC man is accused of taking millions of dollars from the government and spending it
LA.
on exotic race cars. Investigators say he went to great lengths to cash in on the business program.
KCAL 9 Orange County reporter Stacey Butler with how they say he pulled off the scheme.
A Ferrari, a Bentley, a Lamborghini, millions of dollars worth of sports cars purchased with your tax dollars, the feds say, by a scam artist who defrauded a pandemic relief fund.
Instead of using the money like a legitimate business to, help the business stay afloat, instead what's alleged is that he used the money for his own personal expenses, to take lavish vacations, and to purchase 3 luxury sports cars, a Bentley, a Ferrari, and a Lamborghini.
Investigators say last spring, 38.
Was there not any? What was the process? Well, people vetted. What was the process to get this? You just had to fill something out, and they'll just give you the money, bro. Like, come on. And then you went and bought all those sports cars. You don't think they looking? You don't think the feds is watching you?
Old Mustafa Kadiri applied for $5 million in PPP loans and got
$5
them.
million.
They say he used fake companies. He even had 4 business addresses in Newport Beach, websites online, and social media pages. But all of it, say investigators, were fake. Earlier this week, a federal grand jury indictment that was returned charges Kadiri with bank and wire fraud, identity theft, and money laundering.
The number of businesses that closed over the last year plus, the number of people hurting out there, and that there are unscrupulous actors who take advantage of what's a government program supposed to help people.
The people who truly needed help are reacting. Melody Bridges has a dance studio in the San Fernando Valley. She got a loan and barely survived.
It angers us. We had to go through so much stress to get the PPP loan. Without it, we would have gone under. The government, I think, had to work so hard to try to help small businesses like ours stay afloat during this incredibly challenging time in the world right now that everyone's going through. And to take advantage of it just, I think, creates massive problems for anything like this to happen in the future or in times of trouble.
He's being held on $100,000 bail.
Well, she got that
A
big
jury
mask
trial.
on. She ain't finna get COVID. Look, they ain't about to cover her eyes up.
Scheduled June 29th.
Nicole, and we have learned that
where
nearly
we at now?
100 BSO employees did apply
Broward
for
County.
the PPP loans. And of the 100, 17 of them are now facing federal charges. Well, as you mentioned today, we did get a chance to speak with Broward Sheriff Gregory Toney about these allegations. And he says if his employees were involved in this type of criminal activity, they do not deserve to be working in the law enforcement profession. Did you believe you were receiving these loans legitimately?
No, not
17
the.
members of the Broward Sheriff's Office, which include both BSO deputies and detention deputies, released from the federal courthouse in Fort Lauderdale after being indicted on charges that include wire fraud after federal investigators said they fraudulently applied for and received funds from the Paycheck Protection Program, or PPP loans.
Bonds were set. They're being released. Nobody, as far as I know, is being detained.
Not the cops.
And
not
we'll
the
take
cops.
it from there.
Out in Broward. Hey, They be scamming out there. They be scamming out there, though.
Be back in court.
Attorney Brian Silber represents 3 of the defendants, some of whom have either been suspended or placed on leave pending the outcome of the investigation.
I can't comment on the nature of the
Not
case.
the
While the
cops,
charging
though.
documents do not allege
Boy,
that any of
hairline
the
doing
defendants
digits.
committed the charged offenses in the course of their official duties, this does not in any way diminish the seriousness of what the defendants are alleged to have done here.
Sheriff Gregory Toney said he first learned of the crimes in November of 2021, prompting him to investigate all 5,500 of his employees, including himself and other top brass. Of the 17 indicted, 7 BSO deputies and 1 sergeant in law enforcement, and 8 detention deputies and 1 sergeant in corrections.
I hate to see that, knowing some of the individuals and seeing the names on that list that's being indicted, some of them were good officers. But you're only as good as the last act and conduct that you execute.
We learned the defendants involved received tens of thousands of dollars, and while the investigation has proved that some of whom were investigated did have legitimate businesses, at the very least, the 17 now facing federal charges allegedly did not.
If you're going to be participating in criminal activities, we don't want you in this profession.
You got a big head.
And while
I
17
do too.
BSO employees have been indicted, we are told that this investigation does continue and there could be more indictments to come. We'll be sure to stay on top of this.
Well, the mayor of East Point is charged tonight in a case of alleged corruption involving COVID relief funds.
Mayor Monique Owens is accused of lying on an application to get thousands of dollars for a business she owns.
7 Action News reporter Brett Cast is in East Point now with the case against her and why she is no stranger to controversy.
Well, this is not the first time the mayor has faced criticism, but in the past it's been from residents about comments and behavior at city council meetings. This time, the allegations are far more serious, and they're coming from the Macomb County Prosecutor's Office.
What I consider to be outrageous claims.
You're not going to sit here and assault me, lady I never met. Don't call my name because I don't know what book you're reading, and I don't care.
This is East Point Mayor Monique Owens.
She rude. I ain't surprised she got caught up with the PPP loan. She rude. And these people are in positions of power and authority. You see what I'm saying? People that are in positions of power and authority should be able to be trusted. And also shouldn't be talking to people like that. I don't know the backstory, but don't be talking to me, lady. I don't know. Or what book you reading. Let me go take out this PPP loan real quick.
At a city council meeting back in September, arguing with residents during public comment, not letting them speak. Eventually, the city council walked out, and the story made headlines.
She's already proved she's going to do what she thinks she can do and what she can get away with. She's already said she's the
Harvey
mayor.
Creech don't like
Creech
that.
is a proud East Point resident of 50-plus years.
don't
Upset
like
to
that.
learn the mayor is now in the news again.
We don't need it. We don't need any more publicity than what we've got right now.
This afternoon, Mayor Owens was arraigned on a charge of false pretenses, a 5-year felony, accused of lying on a COVID relief application in 2020 and receiving a $10,000 CARES Act grant from Macomb County.
The charges come about as a result of obtaining these funds on the application process, as well as some of the information that was provided that wasn't true.
Prosecutor Peter Lucido says the grant was for an LLC Owens owns. According to public record, the mayor has 4 businesses in her name.
Do you know what exactly she said that was a lie or was not true?
Well, I'm not going to get into the details in specifics because the case is still pending. But in generic wise, that, she's made false statements of fact on an application.
Owens is due back in court next month, and Lucido says the office continues to make corruption a focus. Residents say they want answers.
If she ended up being found guilty on a 5-year felony, what do you think should happen to her as mayor?
She needs to be removed. Simple as that.
She's innocent until proven guilty, but unfortunately, when it is a high-ranking official, such as an elected official, it shines a lot more light and more of the questions are asked of it.
And we did attempt to reach out to the mayor herself, but have not yet heard back. The next city council meeting is scheduled for March 21st.
Here, more than 6,000 COVID relief loans have yet to be forgiven in Greater Cincinnati.
I-Team reporter Dan Monk has been digging into those unforgiven Paycheck Protection loans. He found the process was too difficult for some and too easy for others.
We could have survived, but it sure made it a lot easier.
Gail Hardin Renfro was grateful for her Paycheck Protection loan.
I was able to supplement salaries, cover utilities. None of that stops. So that $20,000 went a long way in not having to lay off staff.
But the co-owner of the Renfro, Patterson, and Jordan Funeral Home in Avondale hit a snag when it came to loan forgiveness.
They sent out an email about how to go about it electronically. I found it pretty confusing.
That's why Renfro was surprised to learn that 5 people got their loans forgiven while they were being investigated by the FBI.
An FBI affidavit accuses Joe Lentini of conspiracy and fraud.
Man, forget them ladies' loans, man. She did the right thing. Forgive her loans. You said 5 other people being investigated by the FBI, but they got their loans forgiven. Forgive her loans. Seemed like she did the right thing. She didn't lay off her staff and all that. Look at this dude right here. Like he about to trip and fall.
Being investigated by the FBI.
An FBI affidavit accuses Joe Lentini of conspiracy and fraud for filing false claims for federal COVID relief and collecting huge fees for helping 4 other individuals do the same.
When the I-Team broke the story on this alleged conspiracy in September 2021, the SBA had already forgiven more than $150,000 in loans for 2 of Lentini's companies.
That is disappointing. I mean, it's my tax dollars, it's everybody's tax dollars.
The I-Team tried to reach Lentini through his attorney, who did not respond.
Once the money is in the hands of the bad actors, it's going to be hard to get it back.
Washington, D.C. Attorney Tenley Karp is an expert on SBA loan procedures.
But what you've uncovered, what you're asking, is really a flaw in the investigative process, because somehow there's a disconnect between the agencies investigating and the SBA who's approving the loan forgiveness.
We reached out to the FBI, the SBA, and federal prosecutors. None of them would comment while the case is still pending. But this affidavit says the FBI began its investigation in March of 2021. That same month, the SBA approved 3 new loans for people who would later be charged. As the investigation continues, 7 loans were forgiven between April and August. Karp thinks the SBA did the best it could with the staffing it had. Gail Hardin Renfro is hoping the SBA will be as forgiving with her loans as it was for others.
I took it with the understanding it was going to be forgiven. I didn't have to take it, but it certainly helped. And if it's not, then we'll do the honorable thing and pay it back. But I'm certainly going to circle back.
Shout out to her. She's doing the right thing. Who's overseeing this? Who's regulating this? I think that's the word. Come on, man. All these people getting, well, the other people, they going to jail and all that, but getting loans forgiven. And she doing the right thing. She even saying she gonna pay it back. Do the right thing by her. I forgot her name, but do the right thing. She dripped up too. She got that. She doing a thing. She got the scarf going with the hair matching the jacket too. Them being honorable. Look like her skin good. Look like she drink water. You know what I mean? Like she drink some good water. And do walks. Take walks around the neighborhood. You know, listen to an audiobook. Go to church on Sunday. You know, good citizen. Do right by her.
New information tonight after a former Phoenix cop was arrested, accused of stealing COVID relief money. Good evening, I'm Zach Crenshaw.
And I'm Katie Rammel. The ABC 15 investigators found links between her criminal case and 4 others, resulting in millions of dollars of fraudulently obtained federal loans.
Only on ABC 15, investigator Melissa Blasius breaking down the indictments, outlining their alleged crimes.
Neighbors said they felt safer knowing a Phoenix cop lived on the block.
Big smile all the time, super friendly neighbor.
But now former officer Tony Richardson is accused of stealing from them. In fact, from all Americans. According to this federal indictment, she's accused of fraudulently obtaining Paycheck Protection Program loans for 83 fictitious employees for a business called the Lotto Club. This is the business's website, but the Lotto Club's office was empty when we went Wednesday night. The ABC 15 investigators uncovered when Richardson was indicted for alleged PPP loan fraud, so were 6 other interconnected people in a total of 5 cases, totaling nearly $7.4 million in loans, taxpayer money that was supposed to help small businesses pay employees and keep their doors open. Instead, prosecutors say it was inappropriately funneled into the defendants' bank accounts. Tony Richardson is indicted in just one case involving the Lotto Club, but her co-defendant Willie
He
Blue
is
Mitchell
sweating bullets.
Toni Richardson is indicted in just one case involving the Lotto Club, but her co-defendant Willie Blue Mitchell, seen here in this prior ABC 15 story, was also indicted last month in 3 more PPP loan fraud cases for businesses.
Sweat glistening
Sigma
off his
Cuts
forehead.
School
Pop the molly, I'm sweating. Pop the molly, I'm sweating.
of Beauty, Sigma Cuts Medical Training Academy, and UCCAN. One of Mitchell's co-defendants in some of these cases is Sean Swaringer. He's indicted with his wife in another PPP loan case for a company called Cryotherapy for Veterans.
Look here, they flipped around the sign. This was cryotherapy for veterans.
Friday, the ABC 15 investigators went to several addresses that were supposed to be tied to these businesses.
It's bone dry.
We found they had cleared out or were locked up and empty.
Camera there.
Neighbors say they saw law enforcement agents several days ago at this South Phoenix house linked to Willie Blue Mitchell. No one came to the door.
Good. My name is Melissa. I'm with ABC 15.
And when we tried to track down Sean Swaringer and his wife at a different cryotherapy business,
They're unavailable at the moment.
the ABC 15 investigators still trying to find the co-defendants to hear their explanation on the loans and their connections to each other.
Tonight, when COVID hit, jobs tanked, small businesses collapsed, families suffered, and millions of paychecks just disappeared. The government was quick to pour out more than $1 trillion to restore a collapsing economy, but the scammers and fraudsters quickly caught on, as did the Secret Service. Tonight, our Bill List takes a closer look as the Secret Service set out to find millions of dollars that disappeared.
As billions of dollars started flowing out in COVID-related paycheck protection loans and unemployment benefits designed to rescue struggling businesses and help those who lost jobs, millions of dollars ended up in the hands of fraudsters and scammers.
They were all prosecuted from the Northern District of Georgia.
At the forefront of hunting them down, the Atlanta Bureau of the Secret Service, charged with protecting the nation's financial system and headed by Chief Agent Stephen Basil.
This type of fraud is a very high priority for our agency, and in our office, we have approximately 15 to 20 agents.
You know they busting down that fraud in Atlanta. Keep it 100. Keep it 100. Had somebody try to fraud me in Atlanta when I used to live there. It was crazy. Not try. I had to bust some moves, you know what I mean? But I got all that handled and figured out and all that good stuff. But yeah, man, crazy.
That investigated on a full-time basis.
They're going to scam out there.
The big question is, how did all this financial fraud gain momentum? The Secret Service says electronic filing.
The programs were not set up to verify the identification, and that's what allowed the fraud to continue. The electronic aspect of it expedited it.
Basil says the priority was getting the money to those in need quickly.
There was a lot of things that happened so quickly that they thought they had it under control, and the oversight just was not there.
Take the case of Khadidra White. The Secret Service says she electronically filed false unemployment benefit claims using stolen identities in 3 states and operating from her home in Clarkston. In 1 month, she netted over $1 million. They say she bought a new car, ended up spending almost half of the money before she was arrested and sentenced to federal prison. And since the onset of COVID, the Secret Service has already cornered 13 people, recovering more than $3.6 million in PPP loan money. 10 more have been taken into custody in unemployment benefit fraud, recovering another $500,000. The agency says it has 40 additional cases now pending, with much of that stolen money already recovered.
Crazy, bro. Crazy. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Why would you take the PPP loan? Why would you do that? They're going to be on you. If you still ain't got caught and you took it, you know you weren't supposed to, you need to figure something out, because they might be knocking at your door. Man, do the right thing. Do the right thing to the best of your ability. And you know you shouldn't have been taking that money. All these people getting caught, these people in high positions, people that's just scamming. Greed and money, man. Greed and money, it'll make you do a bunch of stuff if you don't have your spirit aligned the way it's supposed to be aligned with God. You know, you had that discernment, had that drop in your spirit, like, nah, I know I shouldn't be doing that. Now look, because I ain't trying to go to the feds for no, I'm not trying to go to the feds at all for nothing. Yeah, not at all. But all right, man, let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. If you see the hype button on the video, make sure you press that. I got way more content on the way coming. I got some good things coming on the channel, man. So make sure y'all subscribe. It's Hiram Talks. I talk about life, mental health, and culture, and I'm going to catch y'all on the next one. Peace.